We are going to move from 2.1 to 2.2. And so the first thing we're going to do is clean up your file and get it ready to move forward, making sure you have a nice model, your layers are consistent, and most importantly, your named view comes with you, the same one that you made Make 2D from for your top view. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to double click on perspective, and over here is my named views. I use the tab over here. If you want to, you can right click and bring out your named views tab, or you can do it through the keystroke version as well, which works. But just go ahead and make one of your views current with the view primary. So select it, double click on it. It'll set that as the view. And then you need to figure out which model it is that you use to make this with, because you might have a whole bunch of stuff out there. And so I'm just picking this, and I can see, okay, that's the model that I want to take. You know, this is the one that I made that's important. So make sure that your model and your view are consistent and correct. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a file save as, and save this guy as render model, 2.2 render model. Okay. And then I'm just going to go in and get rid of everything but this model, because that's really all we need. So I'm just going to delete this stuff, delete this stuff, delete all this stuff, and delete all this stuff. And I'll go to my layers and make sure everything is turned on, you know, so I got rid of everything. The other thing I'm going to do is in this perspective view, it's still set to that other C-plane. So I'm just going to make sure that my C-planes are set to the world top, right, in the perspective views and the views that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and delete these guys. Go ahead and delete these guys. If you want to, you can purge the file. So if you purge it, you can purge all of this stuff. If I hit enter, it'll consolidate all of the layers out. So I'll purge it again. Probably will get rid of that highlight layer. So now you have a very simple file. I'll just save this. And then the next thing I want to do is move this to 000, right? Because I don't know where your models are, and I set up the template for 2.1 to work from 0. Let's just go into the top view real quick and turn on the grid while I'm thinking about it. So the grid lines here so you can see more clearly where 0 is. It's not absolutely necessary to do this, but it will be very helpful since the template is set up that way. And I wanted to show you one sort of aspect of Rhino. One is you could just go in right to your perspective view and, okay, well, let's just move this guy. You know, I'll just pick a point on the bottom of it. You know, I'll say fine, 0, 0. It doesn't have to be exact. And I can just say 0, 0, 0, hit enter. And if I go back, you know, it moves it to 0, 0. But unfortunately, it messes up my view primary, right? Like the way that Rhino uses named views is it's just an XYZ coordinate pointing in a direction with a particular type of projection type, either perspective or parallel. And so I'm going to Control Z back out of that. You could reset, if you just use your northeast isometric, you could reset it, you know, at 0, 0 to your model, and that would be fine. But what you can also do if you're concerned that your view is not going to match is you can come into your view primary and type in camera, and you can show your camera, and it will show the camera in all the views, right? So now I can see that camera. You can actually manipulate the camera too by picking the points and all that kind of stuff. But what I want to do is just go into my perspective view and select both the camera and the model, right? And then I can come in and type move and pick a point on the bottom of this guy and type 0, 0, 0 and hit enter. And if I go back now, it's actually moved my view along with my model. For some reason, it flips it flipped the view primary to the vertical plane. So I'm just going to reset that. It might be because that's where I started. But what we need to be mindful of is that even though this view is the same view, the named view is still keyed to the old XYZ coordinates. You see it's lost its view there. It's the item's not in there. So we need to resave this view. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to save it, and I'll just name it view primary updated. Okay. And now that guy is saved. I can actually delete this one. And so you have there's multiple ways to get this consistency, but this is one of them. So go ahead and get your file set up, 0, 0, same view, make sure your layers are correct. You have one layer for your different pieces of your model, make sure there's no big holes in your model, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll move forward into the template.